The Purdue Boilermakers have not had a quarterback's name called on draft night since Curtis Painter was selected in the 6th round of the 2009 NFL Draft. Aidan O'Connell looks to end the 14-year drought as he's projected to be a late day 2, early day 3 pick in the upcoming draft. O'Connell had a good career at Purdue, finishing top 5 in both completions and touchdowns while being the school's all-time completion percentage leader at 66.7%, which says a lot since the most accurate quarterback of all time is Drew Brees, who also attended Purdue. While O'Connell is far from exciting, he brings a level of knowledge and savvy to the quarterback position. Today, I want to show you what makes O'Connell a prototypical Day 3 NFL selection, the good and the bad. So let's start with the good. O'Connell was asked to make every throw there is to make, while more raw prospect Anthony Richardson, for example, was not asked to do that at Florida. O'Connell doesn't have a great arm, you'll see it on film. When he sets his feet, he can have velocity on the ball and make strong throws, but he doesn't have a naturally gifted arm like Richardson does. Yet, O'Connell makes every NFL throw you ask him to. So let's talk about touch throws. This is the one thing that always gets overlooked when we talk about prospects like Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. For all the physical tools that they have, they do not possess the touch that Aidan O'Connell has. Here against Michigan, the receiver's just going to run a sluggo. And look where he puts his ball. He drops it right in the basket. For all the throws that Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, who have big arms, can make, I don't know if this is one of them. And here's another touch pass that I just admire. O'Connell draws back. It's the 4th quarter. They're down 1. In the red zone, you need to make this pass. And he just throws it right over the linebacker with enough touch, lets 87 go up, make a good catch in the back of the end zone. It's a great throw. But let me remind you, O'Connell is a day 2, day 3 pick. He's not perfect. Here, he has Charlie Jones, his go-to receiver, who he goes to over and over and over again, running essentially the same route he just threw. And he airmails it. He carries him out of the back of the end zone. This is literally the same throw he just made. But this time, he puts way too much air under the ball, and he leads his receiver out of the back of the end zone. You can't have it. Alright, so now let's move on to another set of throws. If there is one-on-one coverage anywhere on the field, Aidan O'Connell's going there. It doesn't matter if it's Jalen Ramsey on me as receiver. Aidan O'Connell's throwing to one-on-one coverage. And while I'm glad he could recognize one-on-one coverage, that's a good first step, sometimes it's just not open. But sometimes, he can make great back shoulder throws and jump balls for his receivers to go get. Here's another throw against Michigan. It's back shoulder, one-on-one coverage. O'Connell isn't afraid to go against any corner. He believes in Charlie Jones and he throws it up. Charlie Jones makes a great adjustment, comes back to the ball, great catch. And here's another great back shoulder throw against Maryland. Here, O'Connell's going to drop back. He's got one-on-one coverage at the top of his screen, and look at the location. Sure, his arm doesn't pop here, right? This isn't a laser downfield. But the fact that he can get the ball where he needs to, throws this really great back shoulder throw to where only his receiver can get it, and his receiver makes a great hands catch, that's awesome. And here are a few throws on the outside where I really like the timing and the accuracy. Here is just a simple corner route to Charlie Jones once again. And O'Connell, once again, doesn't have a great arm, but he still gets the ball exactly where he needs it to be. Right on the sideline, right as the receiver's breaking, hits him right on the sideline, gets out of bounds, stops the clock. And here's just a basic out route at the top of your screen. But what I like is that O'Connell just instantly knows where to go with the ball. And that's the one thing I think my biggest knock on him is that I think he always knows where to go with the ball, but he'll run into turnover issues. And we'll talk about that later in the video. But I think he knows where to go with the ball almost every time on every play. Sometimes he just gets baited into bad throws. And here's a perfect example of what I was just saying. O'Connell knows where to go with the ball. Nebraska was setting pressure all day. And I think most quarterbacks would have just taken a sack here. But O'Connell, he drops back, the pressure doesn't faze him, hits the receiver just coming out of his break, and the receiver makes a great play and scores a touchdown. The way that Purdue ran their offense through Charlie Jones reminds me a lot of Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and the Rams. They run through Cooper Kupp, they constantly go to him in the red zone, one-on-one routes, anywhere on the field. This play that I just showed on the screen, so many times Stafford, Kupp, ran this in the red zone to perfection for touchdowns. Here are 2 examples I just flashed on the screen. It's an NFL throw. The one thing that I did notice from Aidan O'Connell is that his defense sucked. They gave up a lot of points, and a lot of times, O'Connell was coming back from big deficits. But here against Penn State, in the 4th quarter, 3 minutes left, 3rd and 9, to beat a team like Penn State, who you really shouldn't be competing with in the first place, you have to make big throws in big situations. And here, O'Connell drops back, and look at the throw he makes. Look at the window. That's awesome. And here's a throw against Penn State. Same situation, 3rd and 10. This one's a little bit earlier in the fourth quarter. But what does he do? He finds a guy over the middle, makes a good throw. Kind of clutch. Here's another really clutch throw. It's 4th and 9 against a ranked Illinois team. A ranked Illinois team is losing to Purdue. O'Connell has a big chance to make a big throw to keep the clock moving as Illinois has no timeouts left. And O'Connell sticks the throw. This is huge. And now let me show you a throw that I think is becoming a lost art in college football, and that's the goal line fade. Once again, I don't think Anthony Richardson and Will Levis threw this very often, but I'm glad that Aidan O'Connell can. Here against Penn State, this falls incomplete, but I love the location, back shoulder, and what does it do? It draws pass interference. Hey, that's basically the same thing as a touchdown. And here's another good red zone throw. He shows a lot of touch on this throw, like I pointed out earlier in the video. Charlie Jones beats his receiver off the line. It's a good throw back corner of the end zone. And here against Maryland, O'Connell throws the same exact pass, and it's another touchdown. Good location. I mean, you couldn't ask for this to be in a better spot. Back corner, puts it right in his receiver's hands. That's a touchdown. And the last really positive throws that I want to show you before we get into his negatives is his deep accuracy. He doesn't have the biggest arm. I've said it 1,000 times in this video. But that throw, wasn't it a perfect downfield shot? And once again, look at the clock. Fourth quarter, big throw. That throw was awesome. And here's another shot downfield. He's deep in his own territory. He comes off the play action, and he drops this ball right in the bucket. I mean, over his shoulder, perfect throw. You can't beat this. So 2 things about this throw. Once again, look at the clock, down in distance. Fourth quarter, down against Syracuse, 3rd and 4. And he delivers another shot down the middle of the field to Charlie Jones. And it's awesome. For a guy who I don't think has the greatest arm, like I've said a million times, I'm going to keep saying it, he makes all the throws. So I showed you all the good things that Aidan O'Connell can bring to an NFL team. But now let's talk about the negatives. With him not having a great arm, his footwork has to be really great. And at times, it gets sloppy. Here on this throw, he fades. He does not step into this throw. Now, NFL quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, they can make this throw off balance with just using their arm. O'Connell doesn't possess that in his game. He doesn't have it. So his footwork has to be good. And here, he fades. So the ball is underthrown, and the receiver has to come back to the ball, and it goes incomplete. Where, if he just had his feet under him and drove into this ball, this could have been a touchdown, or at least a pretty deep completion. So let's pair up his poor footwork at times with bad decision making. That's another huge flaw in his game. Here against Michigan, where are you throwing this ball? In the triple coverage? Triple coverage. He's lucky this wasn't picked off. It's interesting with O'Connell because during a game, you'll go, man, he's kind of slicing up this defense. He knows where to go with the ball. He's making good throws. But then he has the brain fart. Once or twice a game, he throws this ball against Maryland where you go, did you really just throw a jump ball where you kind of overthrew the receiver so it wasn't even accurate into double coverage where obviously this isn't where the ball should go? And I wish I could say there's only a few examples. I have plenty of clips of him doing this over and over and over again. And this play here is a perfect example of what limitations Aidan O'Connell has as a quarterback. Here, he drops back, he looks left, sees a guy downfield on his right. He turns, he tries to throw really all he has into his throw, and he just doesn't have the arm to get it there. And the one place you can't put this ball is short. And what does he do? He underthrows it by a lot, and this should have been a pick. But of course, the DB drops it, and we live to play another down. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that if Aidan O'Connell has a receiver in one-on-one coverage, he's throwing the ball there. Without doubt, no matter what the situation is, he's throwing the ball there. And here against Illinois, he throws the ball, and it gets picked off. Now, he gets bailed out by a pretty ticky-tack pass interference call, but the very next play, he throws a bomb downfield, challenges the DB, and throws a touchdown. The confidence on this kid is unmatched. He really just bounces back, and nothing phases him. And the last big limitation that I want to show you from Aidan O'Connell's game is his athleticism, or should I say, lack thereof. Because the guy is a zero in the category. I mean, you can't run any read option with him, any QB designed runs. He's the worst athlete, or I should say quarterback athlete coming out in this entire draft. I mean, look on this bootleg here. He sees a gap and he wants to hit it, but he's got no juice. He's got no burst, no acceleration, no jukes. He basically gets hit, stands up, and they call it dead. There were only 2 quarterback design runs that I saw in his entire film study, and I'll show you the 2 right now. Here, he does a kind of a fake pitch on like a speed option, and you could just see it. He's lumbering. He has no intentions of actually running as fast as he can. He can't even slide. That's how bad of an athlete he is. Purdue really said, hey, it worked in the first half, so let's run it back in the second half. And here, O'Connell gets it, fakes the pitch, cuts up field, shows a little bit of speed, but then tops it off with a 2-legged butt slide. Not very impressive. And this is a play I actually admire. You know, he's not a great athlete like I've shown you already. But here, it's the 4th quarter, they're up 6. This is how you ice clock. It's 4th and 1. Clutch. Clutch, clutch, clutch. He makes throws, and here, he looks like Ben Roethlisberger out there. But he makes the 4th and 1 scramble. He does a back juke on a D-end that has no chance, which is kind of sad. And he gets the first down. He's not an impressive athlete, but when he steps up in the 4th quarter and he makes clutch plays, that's what makes Aidan O'Connell a prototypical day 2, day 3 pick. Looking at Aidan O'Connell's NFL future, I think he needs to go to a team where he could sit for a year or only play in a case of emergency in his rookie season. He's shown me that he can throw effectively to a great number 1 receiver and really pepper that guy with targets and get him the ball. So, what if he was drafted by Minnesota? He could back up Kirk Cousins and potentially take over for him in a year when the Vikings move on from Cousins. He would have Justin Jefferson to throw to, which would be a great match of his skills along with Justin Jefferson, who is a great jump ball receiver, one-on-one zone beater, man beater, just a savage on the football field. You know, I can also see a great fit with the Rams, like I mentioned earlier. You know, Matthew Stafford is getting older and battling some serious injuries. O'Connell could replicate the success he had with Charlie Jones at Purdue in LA with Cooper Kupp. They're pretty similar players in the routes they run. Charlie Jones was getting peppered with targets left and right. We've seen Cooper Kupp have a 150 catch season. Maybe Stafford this year takes a step back, or he decides to retire because of the injuries he's taken. You know, he's been a pretty beat up quarterback over his career. That would be a perfect step with a great offensive mind in Sean McVay for Aidan O'Connell to back up for a year, maybe potentially step in this season if Stafford can't make it through, and have a great number 1 receiver to throw to in Cooper Kupp. I think that's the best fit on the board.